Welcome back, and here's the biggest video of the day. This is gonna get the views. The last straw. Eminem's final era. Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time, which we all know is a fact. But a lot of his core stands are wondering what is going on in the rapper's camp and where's the music. Well, let me give you guys some backstory and what's going on now. Right here is an example of what's going on with Eminem. Here's a tracker of his unreleased music. Many Reddit M stans reposted this and add to this in order to spite Marshall and trick the fans. Interscope employees were made aware of the leaks at the same time everyone else was. Eminem and his camp noticed all of the songs were unreleased material, but the songs that leaked are all stored on a set of hard drives, which kept in a safe at Eminem's music studio in Ferndale, Michigan. These hard drives weren't connected to the internet in any way and were password protected. This means whoever leaked the songs had physical access to those hard drives and had to have the password as well. Eminem, Paul Rosenberg, and his lawyers then contacted the FBI to start investigations. On January 16, 2025, FBI agents conducted interviews with multiple employees about the leaks and then noticed that 4 people will only have access to any of the hard drives. Truth is, I was upset and blamed Eminem for leaking his own songs. Eminem is anti-leak, and I believe 100% he's against all leaks, right? Now, when that LL Cool J stuff leaked, I was mad about it, and I created a whole series on me just against leakers, and they should be prosecuted. But this is similar to the Drake and Kanye leak situations. Eminem purposely leaked this. This is my theory, due to the fact that when I listened to the whole entire, like all the songs in order, it seemed like the death of Slim Shady expanded edition. All the songs lined up. How come these particular songs are leaked and not everything else? He has a 2018 Marshall Power song, and it's a fire song, and it's coming off of Kamikaze. Those songs are in a particular file. There's no way only Marshall Powers and that little freestyle he had, there's no way those 2 songs are the only ones leaked out of the 5 to 6 other songs he had in those Kamikaze files. There's no way those are the only ones leaked. Also, the leaker, the hacker, wouldn't just handpick Marshall Powers. He would have picked the other ones. He would have picked some tracks on Revival. He also would have picked tracks for Music to Be Murdered by Side A and all the music recorded in 2019. I guess we're going to forget about that. Eminem was in the lab in 2019. We're going to forget about all the tracks he recorded during that time. That's why I'm saying that Music to Be Murdered by Side A leaks. It's going to reach up to Side A. They're all in similar files as the Kamikaze stuff. There's no way those tracks don't get leaked alongside of this. I thought it was a TDOS Deluxe, and the Straight from the Lab 3 was conducted too well for my liking. It actually felt like an album because there's some songs on there that was right there. Then the intro, I was like, what is this? This is an actual album instead of a leak. When I'm looking at leaks, I don't expect it to sound like a perfectly crafted album. But 4 people were Anthony, John Fisher, and Mike Strange. Mike, John, and Anthony still works with Eminem, and Joe was fired back in 2021. Paul Rosenberg also leaned towards this during the Curtain Call 2 interview with Skylar Grey when they were speaking about The Last One Standing back in 2022. So make sure you guys go back and check that out. During the time, Eminem's close friend, Frederick, posted this on X saying him and Eminem will be looking for them and they will stand on business. Now, someone contacted Frederick and told him that he had conversations with an ex-user by the name of Doja Rat. The screenshots he showed Frederick of the conversation with Doja Rat that Doja purchased songs from Joe Strange and paid Strange $50,000 for the music. Joe also claimed to have 1,500 plus songs and more from Eminem. Strange also sent a picture to Doja showing a folder full of Eminem content Strange still had access to. And I believe he's also behind the leaks. In the photograph, those songs originated from the hard drives. Interscope employees then went to work and noticed everything leaked was removed from the drive in October of 2019 and January of 2020. This was the time where Strange still worked at the studio. The FBI turned their attention to Doja Rat and made Doja Rat cooperate. Doja Rat confirmed that he was involved with buying the leaked songs, and he first met Joe through a YouTube channel called Dope Edit. Dope Edit was already famous in the Eminem community, who was the only one uploading original Eminem instrumentals, not remakes to the point they sounded perfect. Dope Edit then told Doja that he was in possession of unreleased Eminem music. He would be willing to sell it too. In August 2024, Doja then bought 4 songs for the total of $8,500. Eminem stans came up with a group buy and to raise money in order to leak their favorite rapper's music. Eminem then saw this and was extremely heartbroken to the point he felt betrayed. He was very shocked that his fans would do this to him, create a group buy in order to leak his unreleased music because they got tired of waiting. Doja the Rat needed more people to buy and reached out to Cali Kush. Cali Kush then joined Doja the Rat to run the group buy with core Eminem stans. They ended up making the purchase. The FBI then pulled up on Cali Kush since Cali Kush was involved in a separate group buy before tricking the M stans. Cali and another person by the name of ATL purchased 3 Eminem songs in July of 2024. That music was also sold by Dope Edit by Joe Strange. Joe was asking for payments of $1,000 on Venmo. The FBI then tracked the payments back to an account owned by Joe Strange. Over the course of 6 months, Doja, Cali, and the gang ended up purchasing 25 songs, which totaled up to $50,000 in Bitcoin. The FBI then had more than enough information, so January 28th, 2025, the FBI put up on Strange Grid, finding music from Eminem and other artists. They also found original lyric sheets and VHS tapes of original Slim Shady music. Joe was then charged with criminal infringement of copyright and interstate transportation of stolen goods. Joe is currently facing 15 years in prison, including a $250,000 fine. In 2025, Joe was able to bond out $10,000. The real reason why Eminem stans wanted to release the songs to the public is that they felt entitled to his music and was also tired of waiting on Eminem's music. They were also mad about Eminem not releasing Bad Meets Evil 2 and The Death of Slim Shady Deluxe back in 2024 within 2 months of the original Death of Slim Shady Coup de Grace album dropping. Eminem stans also praised the release of the music. Some notable stans like Sean, Stan 101, and Reddit stans claimed that Eminem deserved this. Joseph Strange, the person that was fired in a RANT, he says AI has nothing to do with it. All of the activity like video games, songs, special editions, greatest hits, etc. are not a build-up. It's a way to make money that doesn't involve M making records or touring. They are all external revenue sources, never as likely. You might get one more from him, a secret grandpa album somewhere down the road, or it may just be a lot of unreleased material, which you guys can't tell the difference if it was made last week or 15 years ago, unless they tell you. M is done making records as far as everyone is concerned. That's why everything is happening the way it is right now. But he can't stop writing and recording. It's all he knows how to do, so anything is possible. My problem with this is Joseph just sounds bitter that he was fired, and I'm going to get more into it that I know from what I know behind the scenes. Shady, and also before I get into his other quotable, there's a reason why he's this bitter. There's a reason why he's this mad, and I'll expose it. He also says Shady is not good at releasing records or signing talent, and much else besides milking the fans on Paul's side. Releasing records is hard for them, and it's hard on Universal / Interscope because they suck so bad at it. And coming from Universal, somebody that worked with UMG, no, it's not. It's not hard when, man. That is mostly because M would never be done with anything. It's hard for him to let anything go. No song is ever finished. Every song he's released, management has had to pry him off of. And it's hard on everyone involved in the process. He never just shows up with an album and says, hey, put this out. It's Paul that shows up, coordinates, and studies everything. Gets his features on the records he wants, and then puts pressure on him to release it once he thinks it's good enough. Paul has coordinated some of the worst Eminem songs in history. This is Joseph Strange. You all want to know if another album is on the horizon? Watch Paul, because if there is revenue coming in, there is no reason for another album. They don't care about the fans, they only care about making money. Eminem is a business. I know that sucks to hear for the fans, but it's true. There's a Paul meme account on here that posts every once in a while and says mean stuff. If that's not actually him, it's someone that knows him really well and models the meme perfectly. Now, Joseph, sorry I messed up a little bit because I've been recording all day, but hear me out. Joseph is bitter. He was crying because he was fired. Now let me get into why he was fired. This coming from people I spoke to and people like Paul Rosenberg and Eminem. It's coming from them too. Everybody that's worked with this guy. Joseph Strange and Eminem were at odds. And he was also responsible for a lot of intentional badly mixed records. Now, you heard Joseph in the quote saying, oh yeah, M refused to release records and this and that and whoop-de-whoop. That does not sound like Eminem at all. That doesn't. Now, for me, I know him as Blue. I know this Joe Strange guy is Blue. All I've been hearing for the past 4 years was Blue, Blue, Blue. I'm like, who's this Blue guy? Everybody's telling me a bad Blue engineer. I don't know what Blue means. But I guess that's another nickname for him. There was a name that kept popping up every time I asked M's team or anyone at Interscope about music updates or audio being uploaded and submitted through Treasury via trademark and copyright. Now, if you hear the mixing on No Regrets, Untouchable, Normal, All I Think About, Believe, Last One, Lord Above, Moon Man and Slim, Marshall Powers, Ritz, Friday Night Cypher, I did say No Regrets. Alfred's theme had okay mixing. The favorite B-word song. Also Untitled on Recovery. This is, Joe was responsible for the mixing of Eminem's vocals on those records. This is why in Music to Be Murdered by Side B, the mixing is beyond art. You can't blame COVID, but this was the case. And another thing I want to point out, Eminem finally got his mixing back on a Snoop Dogg record a little bit, but he was still using Joe Strange's presets for some reason because they didn't have any other. Mike still had his, but Eminem wanted to hold that off for his future album and wanted perfect mixing for that. He wanted he wanted the MM LP and his Eminem Show presets back because the mixing on those albums are perfect. And then also the presets from Music to Be Murdered by Side A. Let me tell you Stans this. That's listening. Here's a list of the songs that, like, when it comes to new Eminem music, here's what his songs are gonna sound like. So, listen to songs like The Monster. Like, I'm just talking about the mixing and his vocal range and the way his vocals are laid down. Listen to The Monster, Guts Over Fear, Somebody Saves Me, Good Guy, Leaving Heaven, Darkness, Higher, Fuel, Walkthrough featuring Grip, a Head Honcho, and also, I lost where is that? You Gon' Learn. That's what his current voice sounds like, and that is what his mixing will be like from here on out. Now, if you listen to Last One Standing and a lot of his features during his hiatus, you heard that little sound, or he just want to come in like Machine Gun. Like he's doing weird stuff because he's trying to find his stuff back. And also during that hiatus, he had COVID, he had a colds, and he was sick on some records. That's why you hear that little raspy and spitty stuff on The Realist and on Doomsday Part 2. Also on the fast part on when he does his verse on Murdergram Deluxe. And then he went back and recorded another time when he was healthy enough. I don't like BDK like on that last part after LL Cool J does a little interlude. But that's why the mixing sounds different, his vocal inflection and his attack on the beat. So if Eminem were to re-record that Murdergram song today or The Realist, it's gonna sound totally different. You won't hear the little spitting and this low mixing and that stuff. That's still that Joe Strange template, that preset that he was using. And Eminem, like with Joe, he was a little bit lazy with that, and Paul, and they just released that stuff. But you know, give Joe credit, he was with Eminem since 2007. So a lot of the like 3 a.m. and some of the songs like that he did mix. But yeah, Joe was doing lazy work in which Joe was doing lazy work in which he knew Eminem had deadlines to meet via label, or else he'd get sued to Kingdom Come and end up in a Drake-like situation for putting out forced work, to the point Eminem also misses a $400 million stimulus. Here's the thing. Nobody on the internet, not academics, no M stands, not Paul, nobody mentioned Eminem stimulus. I'm the only one that's mentioned it. It's real. Talking to somebody that worked with UMG for like half a year. Eminem did get a stimulus too. The same little package Drake did. Lil Wayne did too. A lot of artists, Kendrick had one too. And Kanye, that's why Kanye was crying and crashing out in 2022, because he couldn't meet no deadline. He only had Donda, but then kept pushing back albums and complaining about money, and he was losing money. It's not because of what he said. He was losing money and not reaching deadlines and not keeping up to what he was contracted to do. Drake released Honestly Nevermind and told UMG, hey, I turned in something. Stuff I had scrapped and stuff I didn't want to release, so I just gave him a trashly produced and a bad album. I just did whatever I want on that. UMG was like, no. That's like you going to a 5-star restaurant and they hand you, like you go to a steak restaurant and they hand you a Big Mac. Where's my steak at? I gave you meat. I gave you some beef. I gave you beef. Pause, but I gave you some beef, some ground beef. I gave you something. There's meat, there's everything that you want. There's fries on the side, a small fry. I gave you it. You don't like what you have? No, I asked for a medium rare, a potato, some broccoli, and some wine. You gave me a Happy Meal, but put a Big Mac in it. That's how UMG is feeling. Drake dropped those 3 albums and he was like, see, UMG of quality, right? But let's get back to Eminem. When he dropped Music to Be Murdered by Side B, it was mostly for the stands. He wanted another album out, and it was part of Music to Be Murdered by Side A. But he didn't want the album to be 3 hours long, so he released the other half. But the songs that were already planned wasn't put on that album. The stuff Joe didn't have, I know for a fact Joe didn't have access to those. I know for a fact Joe did not have access to those songs. That's why those songs didn't leak. And a lot of the revival songs and one of the songs M had with Andre 3000, Joe didn't release that because he has no access to that. He has no access to the other Royce songs M have, or the one with T.I. and 50. Joe doesn't have access to that. He has access to the songs he mixed. If Joe released every single song he mixed, it's all the songs I said down and a little bit more, plus the songs he already released. He already leaked. That's the stuff that Joe mixed. That's what Joseph Strange mixed. That's the songs he mixed. The other songs Joe never had access to. He didn't even hear those songs. That's why he's saying from that perspective, because he didn't hear those songs. And with that being said, Eminem was promised a $400 million stimulus. And nobody's going to tell you this, because guess what? Nobody cares. The only person that brought this $400 stimulus up was Drake. Eminem did release that Music to Be Murdered by Side B. He got his stimulus. He know for a fact he got that money. And then he dropped TDOS that UMG had, like, they had an idea he was making that, but he didn't have to drop that album. He just did it for the love of the fans. He got paid, but he didn't get no stimulus for it. He didn't get no bonus for that. He got some awards or whatever from the awards he won, but he gave that back to charity and helped his kids out and all of that. So Eminem didn't really he made money, he made millions, but didn't make what he usually make because he didn't care. He released the music for the fans. That's why he dropped it. He was so hyped about the documentary more. He made more from the documentary than he made from the death of Slim Shady. I know he pocketed that Netflix money. He for sure pocketed that Netflix money. But he sure pocketed that documentary money and gave some back, but he had to get his bread up. And here's something that nobody's telling y'all. Eminem is a billionaire, right? He's a billionaire. We know that. If the highest selling rapper of all time, if you just do the math, is Eminem. The second is Drake, and then Kanye. But Eminem is all the way is 10. Drake sales is at 7. Then Kanye is a 6. But 10 is very high. 8.3 and 10 is still a large gap. It's like comparing Wembanyama to Chet Holmgren, right? So, that's what's going on. Eminem is a billionaire off of that, and plus, his other side hustles, the other stuff he has going on. But I don't want to seem like I'm pocket watching because Denon and his camp, they be on people for that. But M a street dude, so he be on me for that. I don't care if he comes out deny out of embarrassment, but I'm not lying about no $400 million stimulus. A lot of people, Lil Wayne released those albums with Rich the Kid just to show UMG, oh, I have some of quality. And let me get into this. Since we're on this too, I know the video's called End of an Era with Eminem, but I have to get into this, right? Of quality, Drake. I know you listen. That Janice song, quality. Everything on Iceman was of quality. Half of the songs on Habidi or whatever that albums weren't of quality. Weren't up to UMG standards or the DSPs. Now, people like Ack, if he views this, he's like, man, you don't know what he's talking about. No, I do know what I'm talking about because, listen, I'm going to make a separate video soon showing what was of quality from our end, from UMG's end, what we saw, what we deem of quality. And then people can be like, what about Kendrick Lamar? GNX? Yeah, they was noted, but he wasn't trying to get the stimulus. He got that stimulus for freaking Mr. Morale, and Kendrick Lamar got $300 million. See, the only person that brought up the stimulus and couldn't shut their mouths was Drake. He's the only one that brought up the stimulus. He's so selfish. He could have ruined the bags for many other artists. Youngboy wasn't just mad at Drake because of that. Rick Ross is mad at Drake because of that. Rick Ross had an album planned throughout that stimulus time UMG was given, and people had to reach deadlines and marks within their management and then within the studios. Within the labels they're signed to. They was trying to reach these deadlines. Rich Montana wanted to release this certain album. He couldn't because of Drake. He had a Drake feature. Drake didn't show up. He had an incentive. He had this stuff that was planned with UMG so he could get paid. French has no beef with him. He understands the business. I would be mad, but I'd be temporarily mad, not to the point that, man, Drake, you're not my friend. You're not my, homie or nothing. I'd be upset at UMG. I'd be upset at the deal that Drake signed. I wouldn't be upset at Drake himself, but I'd be upset that he's exposing it. I'd be upset that he's in a lawsuit with Kendrick because that messes up my money too. That messes up Ross's money. That's why Ross is out here bitter, acting like rich. No, Ryan. Ross manager, you and T, like you're T.Ayes manager too. You have to be consistent in defending it. Like you guys have to be consistent with them. Ross can't be out here. I know you told T.I, oh yeah, you stopping this, but Ross is still out here talking. He's doing whatever he wants, but T.I can't. T.I makes more than Ross, but T.I can't do whatever he wants, but Ross can. We put the hold behind the scenes. We all put a hold on the 50 discs. 50 Cent put a hold on the T.I discs. But that's for another video. But back to the incentive and the Eminem thing. Eminem got a $400 million stimulus, which not stimulus. I keep saying stimulus. But it's a bonus that everybody was getting, like the big time artists, the Doja Cats and all that. If you go from December 2020, all the way to 2023, you notice how Kendrick Lamar randomly dropped the album. Mr. Morale was planned for another, wasn't planned for 2023 though. It was planned for another year, like 2024. But then you had the Drake disses and all that coming back and forth. J. Cole, hurry up and drop that off season. He was trying to reach that goal. He's trying to get an extra $60 million. If you're in the thing trying to get a promotion or a raise, you're in this music industry to get money, to make money. You're not just in here to rap. I hate when artists say, I'm just here to rap. And this to you, Eminem. I know you say, man, I can lose money, but I still love hip hop. I know that. But you came in this game to get your daughters out the hood, be this rich and successful, put your daughter through these private schools, that she's able to meet Evan, make a family, you threw a good wedding, that she was able to get into these doors because you put your foot on a pedal and you kept going 100 miles per hour. You kept pushing to be the biggest rapper. You don't go into rap to fail. You don't go into rap not to sell. I hate when people say don't bring up numbers. No, you have to bring up numbers because that's how you determine a company's or a person's, not its worth, its productivity. When people say don't go by sales, go by the raps and bars, okay, I add bars and all that into context, but you have to go by the numbers and sales. The numbers and sales tell you everything about that artist. If somebody like KRS-One is dropping 1 million hours a year, oh yeah, by the way, he dropped the album in 2021 to get that incentive too. It was a good $100,000 extra bonus plus another $1 million for UMG and then another one because he owns a lot of people records that they're like a lot of samples and stuff. Same for Juicy J. That's why Juicy J dropped 1 million albums that time. But what I'm saying is, if you're not selling, if you're not reaching the charts, then what are you in hip hop for? You can't, it's not just the love of the sport. I love rapping. Okay, that's fine. Even if that's fine, but retire. You're taking space from those that's trying to make it up. That's what you guys are doing. Since I'm not with UMG, I'm going to say this. You guys are taking space in hip hop. If you're not serious about rap, if you don't care about the numbers and sales, you keep saying this, then retire. Don't collect no more incentives. Don't collect no more bonuses. Make the salary, your contract says no bonuses. Don't ask UMG. Don't say the labels are this. Don't say nothing about UMG. Don't say nothing about the major labels. If you are in here to only rap for the love of it, if you're not here to chart, if you're not here to sell, retire and leave. And then y'all can be like, Juicy J, no, Juicy J charts. It's not just him rapping, it's him producing. It's him, people sampling him every single day. He drops those mixtapes for his fans for the love of the sport. And he charts every other year. So, he's not just in it for the love of the game, he's in there to make money. Eminem, tell the truth. You're in here to make money. Don't try to act all high and mighty like J. Cole, and that's why I don't like J. Cole. I don't respect him. But he says he's trying to act broke and all of this, but you're begging the label for extra money. You're begging for bonuses. You're begging for all of this. Yet, you come in here saying, oh, I want to rap out. That's why you named the album The Fall Off. I know you said in 2014, Fall Off, okay, there's a plan, but you knew you wanted to retire there. So why take up space? You charted, you did everything you needed to do, but every interview you've been in, you tried to go against the grain, and then you rented some trash 1990s car to drive around people in, to drive people around, forcing them to listen to your album. Just to seem like you're broke and you still struggling. No, you're rich. Act like it. Dress like it. That's why Drake don't respect you. That's why academics don't. That's why freaking Kendrick stopped respecting you. Let me get this straight. I mean, not this straight. Let me put this out there. Yo, Eminem fans be like, all right, M has songs with J. Cole. M has songs with, not J. Cole. M has songs with Jid, Cordae, all of these people. But what about the song with J. Cole? Ask J. Cole that. Don't ask Eminem. Ask J. Cole that. I promise you, Eminem reached out to J. Cole for many songs. Since 2014, I bet you anything Eminem been reaching out. You know why J. Cole didn't? Because he doesn't want competition. the best he'll ever do a song with. That's why he has Kendrick on hooks and crap. Kendrick sent the hook over to Jeezy. Kendrick has a whole verse, but J. Cole wanted to shine. He took up too much space on the song. Jeezy wanted the song to be 4 minutes. J. Cole took up 2, talking about random stuff. And Kendrick was left with a hook. J. Cole had T.I. on the song, but he had DaBaby, but he also wanted Kendrick on it. Kendrick was like, I'll give you sample or something like that. You'll just get this. If you're rapping 2 minutes of the song and I can't get anything and you want the song to be 3 to 4 minutes, but that song was 2, where am I coming at? That's why Kendrick keeps drawing out. That's why y'all never get a J. Cole and Kendrick album, because of J. Cole. Drake said this, if y'all call me liar, Drake said the same thing. Why wasn't Jid on a fall off? Why wasn't top peak rappers on a fall off? He was copying Bone Thugs since that Mid Cloud song dropped. He copied Bone Thugs flow and didn't put a single bone on the album. I don't get it. But with Eminem, he wanted the $400 million stimulus. He wanted that upgrade. And M confronted Joe many times to the point M wanted to run the fade. This all happening in the studio. Eminem wanted to run the fade. And he was complaining, saying, yeah, you're not doing anything. You're playing with my money. You're playing with my time. I have deadlines to meet. Then M wanted to please UMG Interscope and drop, but the mixing work up to the standard the label would want. But that was Joe's fault. That wasn't M. M put that in it. But guess what? You're still dropping it. But they gave you a pass and you still got their money. You still reached the goal because you had more quality. Eminem was nervous because he thought, oh shoot, these are mixed right, all that. He was freaking out. He was doing an NF thing. Just for NF to submit that mixtape. So, hey, guys, look, I'm not labeled, but you still have to get the UMG NF. But besides that, he said, Eminem was like, yo, like he was probably nervous, saying, yo, I'm nervous. I did not reach the incentive. I did not reach it, but the album's still out. I'm glad it's out, but it's the pandemic and we're in quarantine. I'm going to need some extra funds. There's some shoots I want. There's some expensive shoots I want. This is a documentary I want. This is 8 Mile series that got to get shot. Like, there's a lot of money I'm putting out there. I don't want to have $50 million to my name. I want to get that $400 million. That's going to put me as a billionaire. Guess what happened? He had more quality than not quality. He only had 3 that weren't satisfactory to the label. 3 songs on there. Everything else was. If you have a 20-track album, you have to have at least 10 of quality songs. 10, at least 50% to get your senator. But Eminem, he had them. He only had 3 that weren't properly mixed because of one engineer. Now, end of the era. Let's get to the point. I know I went on a rant, but here's my source. Very High, the lawsuit from the end of last year confirmed that M was working on and coming close to finishing multiple projects. Also, the producer who did Bad Guy off Marshall Mathers LP2, which released in 2013, recently said that he worked on / is working on a new song for Eminem's new album. And probably wasn't supposed to reveal that, but M doesn't care now. The sources here is going to be listed. Here's the case. Eminem's longtime manager, Paul Rosenberg, filed a declaration as part of the motion. He said Eminem is presently working on new music for various projects in 2026, which requires his daily attendance with the people identified below. It is not only difficult and very expensive for him to be out of his studio at such times, but it will also put him behind schedule for the various contracts which have been promised by dates certain. So this was during a court case when he's filing for Just he had special demands, and Giselle Bryant and Robin Dixon, when they had that little shady podcasting, they wanted Eminem to appear in court, and they weren't understanding why M wasn't up there. So Eminem and his lawyer went to court under oath, did not lie. Here's the thing, stands. Eminem, like, y'all never been to court. Y'all freaking stupid. If y'all never been to court, y'all understand lying in court is capital punishment. He's saying this on under oath, on record. And the lawyers, and to the labels, Eminem is working on various projects. He cannot attend because he's working on a project. Features, he has deadlines to meet. Here's the label slip. Here's the documents. Here's the audio stuff. They're sending this in to the courts. Next, Paul also says, the reality of Eminem's schedule is that he needs to be at his studio every morning to meet with the people who rely on his presence when creating music. When creating new music. Failure of Eminem to appear in the morning at his studio can result in canceled appointments, an entirely wasted day for his staff, and a very expensive loss of time and expense to Eminem and other parties. So, here's Sean. I'm calling you out, Sean. And some other stands, not the Sean and Shady guy. We don't really talk, but there's a certain Sean you all know. No face, he's always spamming and crooked comments and all this stuff. Did you hear what I just said? If Eminem doesn't show up, nobody gets paid. This is a business. This is not just some freaking I'm a SoundCloud rapper, I'm recording. No, like I said earlier, Eminem is a business. He's not just some random person on X that you're talking to. They can upload music on there. No. Paul Rosenberg said this in court. I can't be lying about Eminem releasing an album. I'm not lying about Eminem releasing new music. I'm not lying. If I'm lying, Paul's lying. If Paul's lying, Eminem's in another lawsuit for lying to the courts. Like, you cannot lie under oath. If you guys ever, been in court or watched a show based on court or whatever, you cannot lie in those situations. Let me repeat myself. Paul Rosenberg specifically said the reality of Eminem's schedule is that he needs to be at his studio every morning to meet with the people who rely on his presence when creating new music. Failure of Eminem to appear in the morning at his studio can result in canceled appointments, an entirely wasted day for his staff, and a very expensive loss of time and expense to Eminem and other parties. So you guys mean to tell me Eminem's retired? I'm lying. My sources are off. But this is Paul Rosenberg saying. This is Eminem saying this. If Eminem don't show up, nobody gets paid. It's like you going to work and you're locked out your job because your boss doesn't want to show up. You don't get paid for the day either. You be pissed. So when you guys come in my DMs, be like sources and this and that, I'm not a leaker. I'm not none of these trolls. You're talking to somebody that's been in the industry. You're talking about somebody that's talked to these people. You've never talked to nobody part of a label. None of you guys have. So don't ever come to me about, I need sources. You don't need sources. You don't deserve them. You guys praised that Joe guy and that freaking Doja the Rat leaking music. You have no right to talk to me about sources. You have no right to get an update because your Eminem album dropped last year. That's you guys' album that dropped. You guys were selfish. You guys were impatient, even though Eminem gave you an album last year. He hopped on many features and did music videos and also did a meet and greet and live performances in 2024. Not last year, in 2024. He put you guys in music videos. He dropped the album that he wasn't even planning for a while. He dropped that album, just get rid of his shady persona so he can end the beefs and stuff. But he dropped that album just for you guys, since you guys were crying 24/7, spamming his daughter's podcast, saying that he needs to drop an album and he needs to pop on her podcast. You guys were spamming that. You guys were harassing Paul. You guys sat there and harassed everybody, including Crooked Eye, that has nothing to do with Eminem anymore. Harassing everybody about Eminem's album. To the point y'all harassed him at the Dre Day. I was there at the Dre Day. I was there. I was working for Access Hollywood at the time. You guys harassed. You guys bullied Eminem during that whole hiatus. He was sick half of the time. Dealing with, I think he had something going on with his, like, breathing or whatever. He was dealing with something like that. He had COVID. He had other sickness, and he still went to the studio and dropped records. That's why those records was trash, and he still was using those Joe Strange freaking default presets. But that's all he had. He didn't have time to mix. He was too sick. He was shirtless with drawers on, almost half naked in the studio, making songs for you guys. For you. Just for y'all to complain when TDOS drop. Just for you guys to complain when he shows up to these like Middle Eastern countries. Then he did a sold out show in Austin, Texas, and he barely comes to America to perform. He sat there and performed. He did a surprise performance in Detroit for you guys. He did multiple live performances. He went back to MTV for you guys. He created Houdini, which is for the stands. Spent $500,000 on that music video and months of preparation and pre-production for that music video and a whole month and a half for post-production on that music video. Very expensive. Just for you guys to complain. And then spit in his face when he spit a 1-minute verse on Doomsday. You know who that verse was for? You guys. He made that verse just to diss Benzino, because Benzino been talking smack. And he made that verse for you guys. He spit that while he was sick. What did he say in the beginning? That's what he said. He spit a freestyle for you guys. Dropped the whole music video with Cole Bennett for you guys. Just so you guys to harass Cole Bennett. Call me a liar when I say he was dropping March 15th. And then you all say, oh, Eminem's not dropping no album March 13th. That's not what I said, you idiots. I said the music video dropping Wednesday, March 15th, 2024. And guess what? It did. It did. And I received no apologies for that. I said White Gold is on that album twice. White Gold came to my comments like he did his PR. He had to save face. He had to save himself. That information, he wasn't expecting it to be out. He asked me for my sources, and I DM'd him. I'm like, hey. You're like, oh, we cool now. You guys said I was a liar. It dropped. And he was on 2 songs. And he wrote the hook for another song on that album. And there's another song on there that White Gold has that didn't even make the album. But hey, I'm crashing. They could be like, he's crashing out because I hate idiots. I hate people that don't think at all. You guys been dealing with these false leakers, these fake insiders for so long, and y'all got the real deal, and they all just sit there and be like, oh, he's lying, when everything I said been right. Everything I said about Eminem been right. If I say he's dropping soon, that's all you gonna get. If I say soon and he drops in 2028, then deal with it. You shut your mouth, because you guys had a 20 album, you guys had a 20-track album last year, and he still forgave you guys, gave you a documentary, and you still complain. That's why I said, that's why this is the end of the era. Because this is something I know. I'm going to say this before Eminem does. I'm going to let this out. Let's continue. Paul Rosenberg also says, Paul Rosenberg also says, mind you, and I'm not cutting, I'm not editing this. Forget that. Paul Rosenberg, in court, also says, under oath, Marshall's typical day, including as scheduled to occur on October 29th, 2025, includes working at his studio to create and record music, including with other recording artists with whom he collaborates, as well as multiple studio engineers. Now, I'm going to tell you guys this before somebody skips this, because I know y'all going to skip my crash out. Before you guys skip this, and go to the last part, clip that out of context, and say, man, he lying. I'm going to repeat what Paul says. Paul Rosenberg said this. When I say these names, y'all say, man, there's no chance. How you know that? The source. Paul Rosenberg said this under oath. Eminem's gonna say this, and I'm saying this because it's true. Now let's do this. Like, hold this. Reminder, we're gonna come back to this. At the end of the video, just remember I said this. Marshall's typical day, including as scheduled to occur on October 29th, 2025, includes working at his studio to create and record music, including with other recording artists with whom he collaborates. I'm going to name some of the artists. If you say I'm lying, then don't become Eminem stans. Don't be Eminem fans anymore and listen to these freaking leakers. Listen to some idiots on Discord that don't know nothing, that went up to UMG and asked for me and then acted like, and they was like, what, who? Why would you do that? And one of them actually went up there when I was there. And y'all don't even know my name. You like, this is crazy. You don't go up to somebody's job asking, no, you don't go up to UMG and ask that. You don't go and search. Either you believe it or you don't, and you move on. So I'm going to name the artists he collaborated with, as well as multiple studio engineers / producers, and he must work with their schedules as well. Now, when I name the people he's collaborating with, I already know I'm going to receive, man, how do you know he's doing that? How do you know? You idiots in the comments, I'm telling you this now. Shut up before you comment. If you say I'm lying, so be it. I don't care if Paul Rosenberg comments below and tries and does the PR thing. He's doing PR. But what I'm saying is truth. And if Paul Rosenberg says it's false, he's lying to the courts because I'm reading his words. As well as multiple studio engineers, and he must work with their schedules as well. As the music currently in production approaches completion, it is imperative that Eminem be at the studio during the next month. He has appointments scheduled throughout November and December, which makes it both very difficult and expensive for him to attend a deposition in the month of November 2025. Now, let me tell you this. Right? Let me give some context to this, because I'm going to try to not crash out or spoil anything. He said he has appointments. So this is what you guys don't know. I don't want to hear no local rapper that never made it. Man, I never done that. No, because you're an idiot and you'll never make it in life. Stay local. If you don't want to sign to a label, stay local or quit rap and work at McDonald's. Or work for me. I'm hiring. Work for me. I'm hiring. If you, right? If you're an artist like Eminem, Drake, Ye, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, you're a big time superstar. You have appointments. You have things. If you ever own a company, if you ever own a business, you guys talking to a business owner, multi-million, like you're talking to one. I know exactly, at least some of what Eminem's going through. So many people on a payroll. If he pushes back an album, nobody gets paid. He's not Kanye, where he can do whatever he wants. He's not Playboy Cardi, who's trash, who does whatever he wants, and then release when he wants a incentive. This is what I'm going to start doing. And you rappers are going to get pissed, because only in the rap industry you guys do this for some reason. Trying to quick and meet deadlines. The next time I see an artist say they're dropping an album and then they don't drop it that day, I'm posting UMG thing. I'm posting their contract, what they were trying to aim for. And the fans will know exactly what they're doing. I'm tired of artists blaming the labels when they drop, when they ask for benefits. I'm tired. There's no streamer. There's nobody, no blog channel, not academics. I don't care who he's talking to at UMG. There's nobody that actually worked there. There's nobody from UMG there's two. They're saying the same thing I'm saying. That's been with UMG or Interscope or ATL, because I don't care what artists have to say. Artists are pretty much like actors at a studio. Actors don't know nothing but the script. They don't know what the producer's doing. They have an idea of what the position is, but they don't know what the producer of that film is doing. They don't know what the boss is doing. A cashier at McDonald's don't know the manager's job. They can't work it. They don't know the regional manager's job. Actually, not the manager, the regional manager's job. They can't work it. That's not in their pay. So hear this. Next time I see an artist say, I'm releasing this day, fans get excited, and then they push the album back, I'm dropping the news. Because guess what? I'm tired of them coming out on their albums, man, F the label. No, it's only F the label when you're not begging. Don't drop an album and then go to the label and be like, oh, please. And then they don't. You say F the label. I don't want to hear no blogs talking to some rapper that only been in a label long enough, and he's only known as a rapper or artist. He knows a few execs and talking all that, but he doesn't know what's actually going behind the scenes because you're in front of the mic. You'll never know. Even if they own their own label, they're not the majors. Gucci Mane, Yo Gotti, none of them are major record labels. They have some. Yo Gotti I would trust a little bit, but they're not Lucien or anybody, UMG. They don't do the marketing. They don't have all of this. Right? So they can't say nothing. What I'm saying is, I'm not an exec. I'm speaking from the marketing perspective and production. Don't say you're dropping an album and then it doesn't drop that day. Because I'm releasing the receipts of you begging the label. You're pushing the album back so you can show the label, oh, please, I want the incentive on that day. That's when I can get a boost. That's when I can get paid. I want a boost. I'm going to spit in the fan's face so I can get this paid. Good business move, but you're manipulative. If I hear the album and you're dissing the label, I'm dropping everything. Meek Mill, man, that's a whole nother video. Let's get back to this. So the source number 2 is a Ukrainian news, right? One of the people that Eminem speaks to a lot, and they're close with Interscope, like Shady Records, all of that, and Paul Trust in the media. She ended up saying recently Eminem's been working on new material, something confirmed during the Eurovision Ukraine podcast by host Anna T. She said Vendito is currently working on Eminem's album, who is a producer. Now, I told you guys to hold on to something, right? I told you guys to hold on to what I said earlier. Go back in the video if you don't understand or if you take me out of context. I'm going to say this. From what I know, this is going to be the best Eminem album of all time and the most diverse Eminem album of all time. Now, before some people be like, oh yeah, the woke, he's going to have a feature with Lil Nas X, he's going to have some gay stuff. No. He already did that crap on Road Rage. But I'm telling you, and you know what? I'm not going to say these people are confirmed, but I'm just going to list some names. You know? He's going to be collaborating with the likes of, you know, Rakim, Royce the 5'9", Skylar Grey, Kendrick Lamar, Easy Mill, Westside Boogie. Y'all won't believe this. Young Boy. Ooh. Why somebody say no to Young Boy? But that collab has been in the works forever. Just to burst you guys' bubble. White Gold, and there's a song Young Boy was supposed to be on, right? That's Eminem already released it, but it sounds weird. But there's a song Eminem had Young Boy like in mind, but they didn't really make anything out of it. They didn't record nothing, but he had Young Boy in mind to be on that song. But Young Boy was in and out of prison, so it's impossible to collab with M doing that. Young M.A. even said this on the Shannon Sharp podcast. Jordan, a lot of people who work with M is saying the same thing I'm saying. There's certain deadlines and stuff. So when people, if you guys come in the comments and say, oh, he's cap or whatever, everybody is saying what I've been saying, but I'm giving more context. So here's some theories. He has, a song with 50 Cent, we know for a fact he has like 4 different songs. He got like 2 releasing this year. The T.I. song, I don't think that's dropping. I do not think that's dropping. I know he has songs with Lil Wayne. He's Icewear Vezo, something might be in the works. Now here's to the unconfirmed stuff. The Ludacris, Tech 9, Future, Morgan Wallen. I've been hearing Morgan Wallen and Eminem for a while. Morgan Wallen told me he wanted to collab with Eminem a lot. He's told me that. And I think Morgan and Eminem, if they were to collab, I'm making, like, I'll do the whole music video. I'll shoot it for free. I told Morgan that. You get Eminem on a record, contact me. I even sent an email to Paul and M. I'm like, hey, you and Morgan ever do a record, I will shoot it for free. And guess what? I don't like shooting music videos, but when it comes to me, when it comes to the camera stuff and all that, I'm the best. One of the best editors, won awards, journalism, won Emmys, and editing, top ranked, camera, cinematography. I won awards, third place, first place. Like, I've won that stuff. And the Houdini thing, already did a tutorial on how to do that, and it took me like 30 minutes to do whatever was on the Eminem thing on Houdini. It wasn't that hard, but the edit. But besides that, I can easily do that. I will shoot that. I'll get a whole team. I will shoot that for free. Wherever they want, when they want, whatever time. I specifically said I'll shoot it for free. You guys ever do it? If you don't go to me, that's fine. But I want my hand in that song. So if that's real, if that's happening, y'all know who to call. And I've worked with Morgan Wallen so many times. So yeah. Another theory. Let me hold up. Here's the news I said out that's gonna break the timeline. Eminem and Kendrick Lamar has a song. Now, before the K-Bots and the M stands, oh no. Mind you, I told you guys to go back and hold on to what I said earlier. If you listen to what Paul said, if you're seeing the people Eminem's around, and here's something else. Eminem was confirmed to be in LA. He went to LA last week. He was in LA for a whole entire week. What was he in LA for? It wasn't just because of West Side Boogie's album. He has a house there. He'd be recording in a specific studio there. But who is he recording with? E40? No. Another song with Snoop Dogg? No. Something with Dre? Yeah. How come Kendrick Lamar was at that studio too? See, y'all gonna be like, how do you know that? Everybody in the public can see when a rapper going to a studio. They put they put it there. It's for public knowledge. Ask people in Kendrick's camp, which studio did he go to last week? Ask people in Kendrick's camp, what was Kendrick Lamar doing? Don't ask me. Ask Kendrick's camp. Ask Eminem's camp. What was Eminem doing at the same studio? Ask them, what are they both doing with Dr. Dre? Is it this Dr. Dre producing the track? Is it Kendrick having a song with Dr. Dre and Eminem producing it? No. Kendrick Lamar and Eminem 100% have a song. 100%. Here's how I know. Kendrick and Eminem had three different songs planned. But who are we dealing with? We're dealing with the likes of Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre is the one that he doesn't care about a budget. He's making millions in his sleep. He doesn't care about a budget. They make tons of songs and he doesn't release it. He just selfish like that. But with Kendrick Lamar and this Eminem song, I believe this is 100% releasing. Either this year, either M's on Kendrick's album or Kendrick's on M's album. But what Eminem stated specifically after Boogie's promo and Easy Mills, he's dropping immediately after that. Eminem's been wanting to drop since spring of 2026. He's been wanting to drop music. He's not just holding on to music. He's been wanting to drop, but he made a promise. He is dropping after his crew, after his signees. Because when M drops, it's going to be a moment. And this next drop, I'm thinking, is either with Kendrick Lamar or is that single. What say you? What are your thoughts? And here's the producers for his album. He has stuff like he has production by White Gold, Dr. Dre, Metro Boomin, Alchemist, Dr. Dre. I already said Dr. Dre. But hell of a is rumored to produce a track for Eminem. Another person is Kanye West. Now, with that being said, I can definitely hear Eminem and this artist on a song. I can definitely see with that Kanye West production, Eminem and Future being on a song. And Eminem and Future were pretty much all on the same song because Eminem released Book of Rhymes and Future released that same type of song. They were on the same beats and stuff, but I believe M and Future definitely going to get the collab in. And as far as Eminem and Andre 3000, that's not happening anytime soon. And as far as Eminem and J. Cole, I'm at a 2%. I believe M wants a song with Kendrick more than Cole. Eminem and Kendrick has been on the same beats. They've been trading. Alchemist said this. I'm not lying. That Meet the Grounds was for Eminem. Eminem was planning to do a dark song with that and add his own instrumentals and stuff to it. But changed it. And here's the thing. Since 2019, Eminem and Kendrick Lamar have been changing beats, trading stuff the most. There's no reason for y'all not to believe Eminem and Kendrick don't have a song. There's no reason for y'all not to believe that. And for the 50 Cent and Eminem album, I 100% believe it, but the problem is, like I said, the problem is just 50 not really being motivated. And then this whole T.I. thing, because Eminem is homies with T.I. Eminem was the only rapper to call T.I. while in prison. T.I. helped Eminem with his rehab. Eminem said it. T.I. said it. Eminem helped T.I. with his rehab. They both the same height. I've been around both of them in person. T.I. mostly, but I stood next to T.I. and Eminem. They're both the same height. M's not a midget. He just looks like that because he's around Paul Rosenberg, who should be in NBA, and 50 Cent, who looks like a heavyweight boxer. And he's around a lot of tall people, like 6'3" and up. So M's around a lot of tall people. That's why he looked like a midget, but he's average male size. But here's the thing. The reason why I say this M and 50 album, I think is still in the works because of the 8 Mile series. That show is still greenlit. In case y'all didn't know. It's smart for 50 Cent and Eminem to release an album together in 2027 and Eminem to drop his solo album this year because that 8 Mile series is scheduled for 2027. It's pretty much like the BMF, but it's scheduled for 2027 and that's what that's looking like. So, yeah. To conclude this, Eminem is a victim in all of this. Plus, Eminem did see the Stans tweets and the Reddit posts. He was betrayed and pissed, but still took the time out to smile and drop a Stan documentary. Then do a meet and greet and drop an unreleased fire song called Everybody's Looking at Me, sampling Michael Jackson. Eminem also released The Death of Slim Shady for his fans, even though he was already working on another album. Like, he already had another album in mind and had already planned. He felt bad about his fans waiting years for new music and dropped that album. He didn't want them to wait 2 more years all the way to 2026, right? So he dropped that album. He gave them promos, shows, and appeared on Netflix. Eminem then dropped music videos and many features since Music to Be Murdered By drop. And just to feed the fans a little bit, give them a little taste, right? During his 2021 to 2023 hiatus, Eminem will hop on tracks with the likes of Nas, Easy Mill, Cordae, Grip, Juice WRLD, Jack Harlow, LL Cool J, Polo G, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Nas. He even did a Super Bowl performance. During the pandemic, he put his fans in his Higher music video, just so that these same fans would complain and betray him. Every day on X, They would dump on his merch, dump on a curtain call 2 greatest hits, dump on his interviews, dump on his flows for each feature, beg for leaks, beg for Relapse 2, ask Marshall to retire, and spam his daughter's comments on her podcast, forcing him to appear. Also, pay for leaks. Then when they dropped, the Stand said, I'm glad these records leaked. Shame on Eminem. They would bother Paul Rosenberg to the point he turned off his comments and left X completely. He has AI dropping for it, like making posts for him. Eminem was also harassed for 4 years and also dissed every week by the likes of As Is, who called Eminem a pedo, who touched his own kids, who also said he would ejaculate on his pregnant daughter's belly, made accusations about Eminem stealing his style, then did a race war. Eminem was also dealing with disses from The Game. Benzino dissing him in every interview known to man, dropped a diss track dissing his dead homie. Then pulled up to Detroit to his restaurant throwing spaghetti all over the place. And then Melly Mel, Academic, Sean C, RDC World, Tony Yayo, and Math Hoffa's constantly bringing Marshall, ops up on the show in order to get clicks. That's why Eminem didn't show up on that show. Math Hoffa will constantly bring up Eminem ops or bring up Eminem's name on almost every single show. He will allow people to diss him and then act like, oh yeah, I'm arguing in defense of Eminem, this and that. I know Eminem shouted us out on the Crooked Eye show. I know Eminem rocks with me, but he's not going to pop up on your show right now due to the fact that you keep bringing his ops. That makes zero sense to me. And he was doing this in order to get clicks. Eminem will also go through being a grandfather, Lions making the playoffs and losing due to the stupid coach, and Slaughterhouse beefing over petty stuff while using his name in their diss songs. So more homies dissing. Then 50 Cent being the Batman, being the Robin to Tony Yayo. Tony Yayo put up on T.I.'s homie with some guns, jumped him with a group of people when 50 Cent said he down to do the verses. T.I. was like, get your homie Tony Yayo or we going to war. Tony Yayo was like, hey, it's either me or Tip. You diss Tip right now. You diss T.I. right now. You cut all ties with him or we done. I'm exposing all your dirty laundry and I'm pulling up on you. You don't have other friends besides me. Game was your homie. I told you no. If Eminem crosses the line, I'm stepping in. Me and Royce already have a plan to step in. And we gonna cut all ties to you two. 50, you aren't the boss no more. I'm the master. I'm the boss. That's what Tony Yayo is doing, the 50. When 50 was getting whooped on, stomped on all winter long, Tony Yayo said nothing. He sat back on that trash podcast, laughed his butt off, threw pillows at Ja Rule on the plane, and then did not come to 50 Cent's defense while he was getting whooped by the king. The king of the South was whooping him. Damani was whooping him. Tony Yayo said nothing, even though he started the whole situation. I have an X post also pinned in the comments exposing everything that Tony Yayo has done. This going back to 2006 when T.I. and 50 Cent were close friends. Tony Yayo kept on forcing himself in pictures, tried to grab T.I.'s leg while he was performing, and then was begging like a little cheerleader in the crowd saying, hey, grab my hand. Forced his hand out to T.I. and T.I. slapped his hand. T.I. was in the middle of a photo shoot and Tony Yayo was like, get in the photo with me, trying to bully T.I. And T.I. was like, I'm tired of Yayo. I don't know what's Yayo's problem with me. But Yayo keeps messing with me. He messed with the wrong one. When I see Yayo was up, 50, get your homie. Now, Eminem, because of Tony Yayo, Eminem might have to choose sides. Eminem has to choose sides now. Royce the 5'9" also instigating the whole thing too, because he was resharing AI photos of 50 Cent getting beat up by T.I. He was showing AI photos of T.I. getting beat up by 50 Cent. And then he's constantly doing something similar to Math Hoffa by appearing up on Eminem's ops, clubhouse interviews and letting people disrespect him, even though they're the homie. He's letting it happen multiple times. That's why you guys don't see no BME too. But and then he made excuses and saying I don't want to do it. But then he makes a Bad Meets Killer song with some random rapper nobody knows about last year. And then he's making songs with off-brand Eminems from other countries. So that's another spit in Eminem's face, even though M's too scared to admit it publicly. But yeah, we all know, we all see it. M is also in his 50s, being unable to move the way he used to. M's life been stressing hell. He's also in these lawsuits, waiting on features, samples to clear, Interscope and doing this. His artists not holding up to their side of the deals. Easy Mill delaying processes for no reason. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. What are your thoughts on this? Did I go too far? Did I reach? Comment down below. This is your host, DHayes, and I'll see you guys again next time.